Today I'm going to show you how to make a perfect three-way outside corner. So what that is when you have three lengths of corner bead all coming to make this corner. And we've all seen some really bad outside three-way corners in our time. And I'm going to show you the secret to getting a perfect one. First, I've got a 5-inch knife. It can be 4, 5, 6-inch knife. I've got some taping mud. Now this stuff's a little bit too thin, but I'm going to work with it anyways. You can see it's kind of fallen right off my knife. So that's a bit wet for this. You want it a tiny bit thicker for doing corner bead by hand. This is taping mud. You can use either taping or all-purpose mud. So the next thing you're going to need is a nice sharp pair of snips. So these ones are mine. And then you're going to need your corner beads. So the first thing to do is to cut the corner bead. So I cut and install in the same procedure. Like I cut it, install it, and then go on to the next one, especially on something complicated like this. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my corner bead and I'm going to slide it back to where it needs to go. So this corner bead is long. I'm going to eyeball the edge up with here. I can either tear it like this, like make a little tear, or I can eyeball the knife. If this is a right-handed one, it works in this situation. But either way, your corner bead needs to come just to the end. So you're going to snip your corner bead flush with the end of the wall. So I've got a little mark, and now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut it off 90 degrees. So here comes the tricky part. This is the secret right here. The next thing you need to do, so you have your length. The next thing you need to do is cut your corner bead past 45 degrees. So I don't have to mark this or anything, I just do it by eye. But if you have a speed square or something to mark it, then you can do that. But it needs to be more than 45 degrees. And that's the real secret. So you can see I cut one side off, the other side I have to come from this way. And you want nice sharp snips. So now I'm cutting back here. And this is past 45 degrees. So you can see it's really pointy. And that's the secret, is that it has to go past 45 degrees. You don't want to go way past. This is almost too far. That one's a little bit better. Next, we install a corner bead. And if you don't know how to install a corner bead, you want to watch one of my earlier videos about how to install corner beads. The undersides are tricky, getting that mud just right, especially when you've got mud as wet as I do right here. Just want to make sure that you've got lots of mud on there, about an 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch thick. Make sure it's all evenly spread so you're not going to get any bubbles or blisters under your bead. So next, you set your bead. And you want to make sure the nose, so your tip right here, comes right out to the end of the wall. In fact, ideally, it's actually a 1/16 or a millimeter past the wall, but that might be a little bit complicated if you're doing this for the first time. So if you just make it flush, it'll work out good. So you're going to need to eyeball the wall and make sure your corner bead is flush. Squeeze the excess mud out. It's like a regular corner bead install. And it's going to slide around as I'm doing this. So now, see, I'm checking it again, and now it came out too far this way. So I'm eyeballing it, it's lined right up, and now you do all the regular things like checking to see that your bead is on square and that you've got room for fill. So again, that applies to the original corner bead video. You want to check all that stuff. I'll do a quick check. Good, good, good. Oh, could go up a hair. Good, 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 good. Okay, now it's time for the next bead. It gets a little easier with each one. So next I've got one that's going to come out this way. So I do this in a specific order. I do the two bottom ones first. Okay, so I'm doing the same thing. I'm going to put it up to where it goes to, and then I can see here. So this side's trickier, my knife doesn't work that way, so I'm just going to tear it with my thumbnail so I can see where it goes. So So I've made a little tear there. That tells me where I need to cut. You don't want to cut your corner bead too short. You can always cut a little bit off. You can't add any back on. Okay, so again, we're gonna go past 45 degrees. And I've just done this so many times, I know where it is without having to mark it. So exactly the same thing, nice sharp point there. It didn't get all mangled, right? If your snips are too dull, they're gonna mangle the corner. Don't buy the cheap snips. Okay, again, same thing. Okay, same thing. I'm gonna put my corner bead on. Now, if the tip is poking out past this one, it's too long. You gotta recut it. But it's lining up just perfectly. At the end of the video, I'm gonna show you guys that. So I'm just setting it now. The next thing, make sure they're the same height. I'm getting right up here. It's a bit low, so I'm pushing this side up to line up with this one. Your beads have to be in the same plane. You gotta line up or it's just gonna be ugly. Okay, so now they're both at the same level. And now I'm gonna firmly wipe the mud out because it's exactly where I want it. Quickly check it for square. Nope. Okay, good. There we go. Okay, the final piece. So it's the same idea. This one's gonna come down now. And if this one's a hair short, it's not a bad thing. So again, I'm gonna snip it right here. And I'm actually gonna cut this just like a millimeter short. Because again, I'd rather have it just the tiniest bit too short than to have to recut it, which contradicts what I just said, but you get the idea, maybe. Okay, so great. It fits in there real nicely. The mud on, put the mud on. Okay, now these little pieces can be a bit tricky, and here's another thing you want to do when you're setting this one. You want to take a good look at this one. You want to make sure that it's not too far this way, although if your framing goes this way, then there's not a lot you can do about it. But you have a little bit of wiggle room to pull the corner bead out a tiny bit, and my framing goes in a bit. So I am going to pull the corner bead out a bit at the top. So I'm eyeballing it to make sure it looks good. All 3 points are lining up nicely here. Now I need to make sure this isn't sticking out too much down here. Nope, just right. Okay, check that way, it's good. Okay, now I'm going to try and clean it off a bit so I can show you guys what it looks like. We're going to get a nice close-up of this so you can see how these work. Okay, it's time for the close-up. So as you can see, it's open here, and that's the idea. We don't want these overlapping, and this isn't finished carpentry, so it doesn't need to be so close. This is going to get filled in with mud on the next 2 coats. So let's take a look at this side. Same thing, you can see just past 45 degrees so that they don't overlap and interact with each other and cause a problem. Down here it's the same thing. Got some wet mud oozing out. But anyways, that's the idea. That is how you do a perfect outside 3-way quarter. So thanks for watching. My name is Ben from Vancouver Carpenter. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. Thanks for watching.